Welcome into the latest episode of our Cubs Recap podcast, a presentation of our Recap YouTube channel and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Alongside my partner, Gordon Wittenmeyer, I'm David Kaplan, and our podcast is brought to you by the Illinois Tollway and their If Only campaign. Hey, folks, quick time out to tell you about something serious. We've all said it before. If only I had slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new campaign is called If Only, and it is a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk, it affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they'd done things differently. So please, take the extra time, slow down, save lives, lives including yours, depend on it. That is from the Illinois Tollway and their If Only campaign. All right, Gordon. We'll start right here, 44-28. The Cubs are 5.5 up on the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 39-34. 7 up on Cincinnati and St. Louis. 15.5 up on 29-44 Pittsburgh. I was there Thursday. I was there Friday. The offense is not playing well. I know the wind has been blowing in a preponderance of the time, but the offense has to be better. The bullpen's been tremendous.
Bullpen's been great since the middle of April, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. So no complaints there. Look, we saw a superhuman lineup for what, 2 months?
2 months.
Yeah. Over 2 months.
Over 2 months.
And it wasn't going to sustain. We knew that. I mean, nobody can sustain those numbers, right? So they've hit a patch, but it's also corresponded exactly with that finger injury to Kyle Tucker, and he continues to play, but he's DHing some. He's getting a rest here and there. He got Sunday off against a guy who he might ordinarily be in there against and rake against, because Council wanted to give him
in Mitch Keller, right?
Right. And Council wanted to give him 2 days off in a row, give him Sunday and Monday, but he even said it's because of that finger. He wanted maybe that makes me that much better come Tuesday when they open up another series. So it's real, though. The thing is, he can play through it. You take what you can get out of Kyle Tucker. But what does that tell you? It tells you two things. One, everything we saw that first 2 months, yeah, it's exactly what we thought it was. Kyle Tucker makes that big a difference to your lineup when he's Kyle Tucker. And it also means that he can, when he's not right, it makes a difference. So I think that's all part of it. The good news is the bullpen continues to pitch.
Oh, the bullpen's been magnificent.
They're getting enough from the starters. They continue to catch the ball. Everybody out there, PCA still having a good season.
Matt Shaw looks awesome.
Shaw looks great. So I think they've at least tread water. It was also a tough stretch. I mean, they had the Phillies in there, Detroit in there. So it was a tough stretch. They hung in there. Some of the games were walk-off losses. So, by the way, the stat of the week in my mind, stat of the 2 weeks in my mind, from the time that Tucker hurt his finger to the time we're recording, they went from 4 games up to 5.5 games up.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
So Chris Kamka, who I think is the best stat man in the business from Marquee, Chris tweeted before the game, their last 9 games, coverage averaging 2.89 runs per game, and they're 7-2. And after the game, he said, let me update that. They average 2.90 runs per game, and they're 8-2. That is insane.
Pomerantz got a loss without giving up. I mean, he still got a 0.
Those are games at Wrigley, by the way.
He still got a 0 ERA.
Correct.
And he got a loss in a game.
Yeah, because it was the ghost runner, and that doesn't count on your
right.
ERA.
So I mean, these are how close. Even when it's bad, even when it's going the wrong way for him. This is how close it is, and how good things are going. Look, all it does in my mind is underscore what I think you agree with. Jed better be all over every arm that's got warm blood running through it out there on the trade market. And get another starter, a good starter. Whoever the best starter is out there, if it's not coming out of your own division or a team that won't trade with you, you better get it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If I said to you, we're taping this on Monday, June 16th. Tonight, Sandy Alcantara is pitching against the Phillies. His last 2 starts have been really good, but that was Colorado and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Prior to that, like 6 in a row, not so good against really good teams. So I would imagine Jed Hoyer will have his crew down in Miami on Monday night. Jed will be locked in on the MLB TV and watching that game. If they said to you, we want your number 1 pitching prospect in your system, because for me, Cade Horton is a no trade.
He doesn't count anymore.
I would not
prospect.
trade him in any deal.
Yeah, he's part of your future. He's part of your present.
Some people had asked if they would give you Chris Sale, Atlanta, which is who my number 1 guy is. If they would give you Chris Sale, would you trade Cade Horton? I said, absolutely not. He's 23 years of age. I'm not doing that for a 36-year-old.
And he's getting better maybe before our eyes.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah.
But they have a kid named Jackson Wiggins in AA. He's 6'6". He's 240. He throws 98, and he's got an ERA at 2 in AA. And a lot of people think he's not far away. Like he's a number 1 top of the rotation guy if he keeps developing like he is. Would you put a guy like that in a deal? If you knew he was a year away?
I'm thinking that would get that deal done.
Right.
I'm
not sure I would.
I'm not sure I would either. Look, for one thing, we know that the Marlins are going to play this out because they need to drive up the value.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now they're just taking what they can get in a subdued market. It's way early, so they're not going to jump at anything like that. On the other hand, if you're a team out there looking for pitching, why would you jump for that? Because he hasn't performed.
You're talking about Sandy Alcantara.
Sandy Alcantara. Look, I saw him maybe a month and a half ago, even before he had these last 2 good outings. I think I saw his first quality start of the year. He had his velocity. He had his changeup. He just wasn't sharp yet. So I think he's there. I think he's back. But it doesn't do you any good if you're shaking the rust on your dime. You need to know that he's ready to contend for you, to compete for you. So I'm not sure if I jump right now for that. That would be my hesitation. I want to see him do it. You say he's going
for a month.
He's going up against good teams now. Maybe a couple of starts against some really good lineups.
Right,
Maybe
where
that
I see the velocity and the command. Yeah. Okay. Away from that, I have a question for you. I've had this debate with different people on the radio, on here, on social. If you were Kyle Tucker, let's assume you are Kyle Tucker or you're his representative, and the Cubs came to you right now and they said, we'll give you a 10-year deal. So it takes you to age basically 39. We'll put any terms you want, no opt-outs. Like Bryce Harper said, I want no opt-outs. I want a no-trade clause. I'm going to commit to you. You got to commit to me. Okay. Jed and Tom say, we're in. 10 years. We'll give you no opt-outs and full no trade, and we'll pay you $47.5 million a year for those 10 years. So it's $475. The height, leave Soto and Ohtani out of it. That would make you by $5.5 million the highest paid player in the history of the sport, average annual value. 42 is the highest salary other than Soto and Ohtani. You've been dealing with a finger injury. You're having a good year, but you're not like MVP good this year so far. If you were his agent or you were him, would you take that right now?
And I get to be 39 again?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll pay you $475 million.
Join the club.
Let's see. Well, okay. So you said take Ohtani and Soto and push them aside from
correct. Like Ohtani's numbers are stupid.
But Ohtani's numbers are less than that in real money.
Well, because of the deferrals and all of
that. I'd have to really strongly consider taking that, especially with the labor stuff looming.
That's my point. With the labor stuff looming, I'm going to give you your long term, because you're not going to go to 15 years on a 29-year-old. He'll be 29 next January when this contract would take over. And I look at it and I go, you're a really good player and I want you on my team 100%. But guess what? I got a labor situation I got to deal with 12 months from now. when that season's coming to an end, are we going to be locked out? Are we going to have a salary cap? Are we going to have this? Are we going to have that? I'm giving you a chance to lock in your dollars right now.
So part of why I strongly consider that, maybe even take it, is because the finger injury kind of reminds me how fragile some of this stuff can be.
Right.
So there's that. But you're leaving out a really big part of this.
What is that?
Tom Ricketts' balls. He's not going to go that hard in on this. He's a guy that's more afraid of the labor stuff looming than any player is.
I didn't ask you anything about Tom. I simply said you're the player or the agent for said player, and that is on the table.
So this is one of your famous capatheticals.
That's correct.
So it ain't never going to happen. Like you outline something that has no chance of happening. Would I take it if I was Kyle Tucker? I might take that. Am I ever going to hear that from the Cubs? As we sit here right now, that's hard to imagine.
So if you're predicting, is he a Cub next season?
Well, see, now you seem to think he is. I think they're going to go hard after him. I suspect they're going to wait and see what the market looks like because they're going to want to see if the labor issues are going to.
Okay, and that makes zero. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that makes zero sense.
I just don't see that.
Why would you allow the Dodgers? The Red Sox just cleared a ton of money. They're going to need a star. Why are you going to the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Red Sox? Why are you going to allow those teams a chance at your guy? Step up to the plate right freaking now and go, Kyle, we want you to be here. We're going to make you the highest paid player in the history of the sport other than those two outlier contracts.
It's because now you're making me the Cubs. Now you're putting me in a position of the Cubs. The Cubs don't do that. They haven't done it. I just don't see it. I see them trying to play it to see if they maybe don't have to spend that much money or get themselves cut. You seem to forget it wasn't that long ago during the pandemic when they were afraid of their own shadows economically, talking about biblical losses and empty stadiums when instead of the 3 million in 3 million fans in revenue that they're used to drawing out there just in attendance alone. I mean, they got more scared arguably than any ownership group in the game. I mean, they're laying off hundreds in their front office. You know, people making.
I don't know about hundreds, but they laid off significant.
It was triple digits, and we're talking. Some of those people were making $50,000 a year in Chicago. Come on, really? They didn't do that on the South Side, and they're not making as much money annually. So I don't see that ownership group having that kind of courage, that kind of economic courage in the face of a looming labor war. I just don't see it.
So if you're predicting, you don't think he's here?
I think that they wait and see what a market looks like.
But that's not smart business. That's stupid business. You now say, okay, hey, Dodgers, here you go. Here's a shot at him.
Is that not making my argument, my point? I mean, look,
but if you're willing,
this is how they operate.
Yeah, but
so it just means they'll go second best again, like they do all the time.
But what I'm saying is, if they truly want him back and they're willing to play in the deep end of the pool, why would you allow anyone else a chance to steal somebody you value?
Well, okay, let's look at some scenarios. So the scenario we're talking about right now is if they were to jump on this, it would be like a mid-season all-star break type of a negotiation contract is what we're talking about. So what are the alternatives to that? The alternatives are you can wait until he actually reaches free agency, see what the marketplace is. You can sort of set the table ahead of time and use that, I don't know, week or so at the end of the season between free agency to really go hard and try to do something then ahead of free agency, or you can try to do something later in the season. The only advantages to those other two, other than waiting, not the one where you wait till free agency, is now you know what you did this season or what you're about to do this season. Like, for instance, if this team continues doing what it's doing, it goes out and gets a pitcher and they make a deep run in October, maybe get to a World Series. I'm not going pie in the sky for the whole thing. Maybe, but get to the World Series or get to Game 7 of an NLCS or something like that, and he's a big part of that, which he already is, then
all that happens is the price keeps going up.
No,
and
but
more
so
suitors.
do your revenues and so do your projections going into the next year and 2 years and 3 years. So you might have a little more appetite for more spending at that point if you think that. Now, if you get to September and it's a dogfight because your pitching's starting to fade and the wind's blowing in more at Wrigley and it's playing more like last year than this year, and maybe he's not the singular answer to the whole thing, then you begin to back off a little bit. I'm just saying, I'm trying to put it in the context of what we've seen in the behavior of the guys that sign the checks over there. And I think that all of these scenarios are in play, and it's more likely that we see them base this on what they think their projections are. And if all else is equal, they're going to be scared to death of a labor war.
Yeah, I think there unfortunately will be a labor stoppage. I do, which is sad because the TV ratings, I don't know if you've seen these over the last 10 days, TV ratings 18 to 34. Like we've got Katie sitting right here, who's the head of all social media and content here at our company. And her demo ratings are up like 55, 60%. Crazy. Baseball ratings across the board.
That's because of her social media presence.
That is exactly correct. But ratings across the board in baseball are up. And you're going to take the chance to screw that up by shutting the game down?
What is owners, what is there to gain in that? And I know what they want.
They want a salary cap.
But why would you pull that lever? Why would you allow it to happen? Because you can do that. They went down that road in 94 and didn't get it. You could try it again and maybe not get it and then lose all this
goodwill.
Way more than you had to lose back then. Way more. And so I think that it would be the dumbest ass thing a sports league has ever done if this group of Major League Baseball owners go down that road. Again. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. All right, let's move on from the Kyle Tucker discussion. Is Daniel Palencia the closer of this team now going forward? He's the one guy in your lineup that has true blow you away stuff. Like Brad Keller's been great. He throws 98, 99. Daniel Palencia now, that dude comes to eat. 100, 101, and he has been really good in a closing role.
Sure.
Is he the guy, or do you have to go out and trade for a closer?
I don't think you have to trade for a closer. I think you have to trade for a starter. You do want to get more bullpen help too.
Agreed. I want a high leverage bullpen.
Go get a bunch of pitching. I don't care if it's a closer. It doesn't have to be a closer. You just need more options, late innings. Look, even compared to 2016 when they went out and got Aroldis Chapman, the game has changed from a pitching standpoint, from what you can expect out of your starters. I mean, just look at what you had in Arrieta and Lester alone. You had a couple of 200-inning guys in that moment. 200-inning guys don't even exist in this moment.
Yeah, it's
anywhere.
Crazy. It's sad.
So what you need, and we've seen it exacerbated, like in a postseason, and more so each year we go on. What you need is a lot of arms you can bring and throw, and just keep bringing more arms and more power arms at the other guys once you get to the postseason, especially in the postseason. So yes, absolutely, to get there and put yourself in a great position, and then to be able to match up going forward, you need a starter big time. You need a good, maybe a great starter. You need something significant. And that's even with Shota coming back maybe in a couple weeks. But you also need bullpen. It doesn't have to be a closer. And Palencia can be your closer, sure. And if he starts to fade a little bit or doesn't get the job done in the ninth, and maybe Hodge is back at that point, or you go with maybe Presley can do it for a while. He's a veteran guy. Maybe in postseason he picks up a notch, and he's done well lately. So what you need to do is you need to have enough guys that can cover enough innings in leverage situations. It doesn't have to focus on the ninth per se.
You got to get a high-end starter.
You got to get the starter.
Okay, the Atlanta Braves are up the track. Do they move Chris Sale?
I would if I was them.
They have 1 year left of control.
Yeah, well,
and as we sit here right now, their record is 31-39. They're 13 back in the division, and in the wild card, the Atlanta Braves are 8 back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams ahead of them.
Yeah, you can afford to wait a little bit at this point. You can afford to wait a month and just see how things turn. You just give it till the All-Star break or for a week, first week of July or whatever. You could afford to do that if you're them, and why not? Yes, okay, anybody, if you have a pitcher to sell, he can blow at any point. We all know that, but he's one of the most valuable guys out there right now. I mean, if somebody comes in and blows you away right now, I sell him. But if I'm the Braves, I remember just a few short years ago winning the whole damn thing when I had a losing record at the trade deadline.
True.
So I know that there's a chance again. And by the way, the Braves are the biggest reason why there's suddenly a wild card race that looks like it might be shaping up in the National League, because the Braves were supposed to be one of those elite, closer to elite teams that was going to eliminate, like, for instance, the Central from having a team that could compete for the wild card. And then you got the Diamondbacks that are kind of hanging around the edges. But the Braves are the single biggest reason that there is a wild card race right now. So if they get hot, then they're in it. They're in the wild card race for the third one.
Yeah, 31-39, 8 games back in the wild card.
Strider's not back yet, right?
I believe he is. Strider's back.
He's back. Just
got
came back.
While you look that up, the Illinois Tollway is dedicated to providing a safe and efficient system of 294 miles of roadways while ensuring the highest possible level of service to their customers. Folks, we've all said it before. If only I had slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new campaign is called If Only, and it's a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk, it affects everyone on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they'd done things differently. So take the extra time, slow down, save lives including yours, depend on it. The Illinois Tollway and their If Only campaign. So if you could have any pitcher that's out there available, who would that guy be? That's available. I'm not saying you're going to get Tarek Skubal. He's not getting moved. Would you take Chris Sale? Would you trade for Nathan Eovaldi, Merrill Kelly, and Zach Gallen in Arizona?
Oh God, if I could get Sale, I'd get him. I mean,
that'd be the guy.
He's a Cy Young. He's the reigning Cy Young winner who pitched well enough to have won a couple others in his career. And as you pointed out, he's got another year of club control. So I mean, God, and what, imagine a guy that started on the other side of town coming back on the north side.
Sox fans would not be happy if he was the top guy in the rotation.
Energizing Wrigley Field every 5 days.
It would be insane.
Yeah. So I think he's your ideal on a number of levels. Alcantara could be, but he ain't there yet.
You got to wait.
You got to wait on him.
Tonight, for me, tonight's a big start.
Yeah, but you can't make too many big judgments off of that either.
No, but you want to see high leverage pitching, great velocity, and better command.
The command is everything, because he's had the other stuff. He's shown the other stuff. It's the rust. It's the command. He hasn't pitched. He just hasn't pitched.
Correct.
I'm trying to think who else is, the guys in Arizona. Yeah. They'd be next. I wrote something. I wrote that the Reds ought to trade Hunter Green because
he's soft.
Well,
got a great arm.
Yeah. I'm not going to go too far down that road, but he doesn't post. He just doesn't post enough.
He doesn't.
He's got his career high is 26 starts. When he pitches, especially after turning a competitive corner last year, he's one of the best in the game. But if you don't pitch, you can't win. And I can't use you if you don't if you can't help me win.
All right, last thing. Cubs are 44-28. Yurko, John Yurkovich, my friend who I worked with this morning at ESPN 1000, Yurko paid off his season-long wager today. He said, kid, you won. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had predicted 91 wins. He predicted 83. So he said, anything over 87, I win. Anything under 87, he wins. We bet $100.
So he's conceded.
He conceded.
87
gave
right
me
now.
$100 today. He's like, kid, you're going to get it. There you go. Do you now realize, yes, Cap, you were correct. That team is really freaking good. It's killing you to have to say it.
I don't have to say shit.
We're good.
Look, I just waited to see. They're way better than I thought. But you say you have these grandiose projections every goddamn year. You always throw out something better than everybody else.
No, absolutely not. I've had moments where
Shit, even when they were tanking, you were thinking, hey, this is the year they're 500.
No shot. You were the guy thinking they should go out and try and be competitive. And Theo went, no.
No. I was the guy saying that no big market team should ever tank. That's
And you know what it ended up in?
That's a middle finger to
November
the fans.
2nd, 2016, the greatest night of my sports fandom ever in my life.
It's congratulations that it worked, Cap. There's a long list of teams out there, including this team in other seasons, that show you that it doesn't always work. And it's still an awful way to treat your fans when you're a big market club charging big market dollars.
I guarantee you that the Cub fans listening right now would say, Gordon, it was all worth it because we won it in 2016.
And they're loving paying through the nose for what they've gotten since.
Hasn't been great since. See you, buddy.
All right.
There he is. That's the great Gordon Wittenmeyer. That's a wrap on another fun edition of our Cubs Recap Podcast, a presentation of our Recap YouTube channel, and available audio only everywhere you get your favorite podcast. And it's brought to you by the Illinois Tollway and their If Only campaign. Folks, please, when you're out there, slow down. Lives, including yours, depend on it. Every crash leaves someone wishing they'd done things differently. So take the extra time, slow down, and save lives, courtesy of the Illinois Tollway. We're out of here. We'll see you next week. But if there's ever breaking news, the Cubs traded for who? There'll be an emergency podcast wherever that dude is. And wherever I'm at, you'll get us right here on the recap.
The Red Sox just traded who to the Cubs?
Garrett Crochet. I wish. Take that.